Good morning. This is my latest episode in the saga of taking on that new team and bringing Soccer Pro, Soccer Labs, and some, let's say, unconventional field training into this team to develop a fairly weak team into a high-level team. Well, that was the plan. But what's probably happening, about 99% certainty, is I'm quitting. I've had enough. And the reason I'm quitting, I never like to quit anything. Anyone that's gone to a restaurant with me and seen me order massive meals, no, I do not quit. I do not quit. But in this case, I'm quitting. And the reason is that I knew I was walking into a weak team. And I was going to bring some good players from Soccer Labs into this team and infuse some talent into the team and then bring up the rest of the team by training them at Soccer Labs, because I know how quickly I can take weak players and elevate them into being good players and oftentimes great players. All they have to do is have a decent level of coordination and want to play the game. Well, what I didn't understand, though, was that I was walking into a team of uncommitted players. And there's a massive difference between a weak player and an uncommitted player. So I had about 4 months of time to get these kids skilled up. And I knew I could do it. I had no worries about skilling these kids up, bringing that level of skill way beyond where they were today. I've done it too many times for too many kids. I know what I can do at Soccer Labs, and I know how quickly it happens versus happening out on the field. The trouble is they wouldn't show up. They wouldn't show up for Soccer Labs, and I thought, well, okay, maybe they'll show up for field training, and we can start to, work with them that way. And once they get a little bit motivated and they get a taste of success, then they'll get more interested in training harder and training more and doing more of these things that are necessary to make good teams. Well, that didn't work out either. Even though I'm coming into an existing club with an existing coach, we're working in collaboration to do this transition. The kids just never showed up. I mean, we're getting 12, 10, 14, 18 kids showing up at a practice, which sounds okay until you realize it's two separate age groups, two separate teams. And the brothers of these players, the friends of these players, they were not even the teammates. We were just bringing numbers in to try to get enough kids to play some scrimmages, to get out there and actually do a decent workout, a decent training session. So after enough of these days, I mean, frankly, I just cannot donate my time, donate my facility, donate my equipment for a group of kids that aren't committed to actually playing the game. I mean, if you can't get a full team of kids to actually show up for a team practice, you don't have a team. The most we've been able to get are 8 kids. 8. And that's, not 8 top players, that's 8 total. The other thing that happened is 3 of the 4 kids that I brought over to the team, they got tired of it. They quit. And I don't blame them, because good players want to play with other good players. And when these other kids came in, I mean, the kids that I was training already, they looked at me like, what in the world? What is this mess? And I told them, I said, look, you guys have seen enough kids yourself. You know where you've been. Just trust me, I'll get these kids skilled up. We'll elevate them and we'll make a good team. We'll have a good team, so just stick with it. Well, they're not stupid. They saw the same thing I saw. They saw kids not showing up, not training, but most importantly, not showing up. It's not like they would show up and not train hard. They just flat out wouldn't show up. And when I'd ask them, hey, so-and-so, where you been? They'd say, oh, I'm busy. I'm thinking to myself, busy? You live 4 blocks away, you're 10 years old, and you're not in school yet. What are you busy with? Okay? Those kids aren't committed. They're a waste of my time. But there are some interesting lessons that I did pick up. I've been doing Soccer Labs for a long time. I tend to get a little bit, anyone tends to get a little bit self-centric. You start to look at what you're doing, you think it becomes in your mind, it becomes normalized. So I'm used to taking kids at one level and very quickly getting them up to another level. I'm used to taking kids and right away getting them onto their right foot, their left foot, their strong foot, their weak foot, whatever you want to call it. I'm used to taking kids and just elevating their game so that they can play in a very functional way. I don't teach them how to do these fancy moves. I don't teach them trick shots. I don't teach them things that I don't even know what the names of them are. I mean, I see some of these moves. Frankly, I don't know how to teach them. I don't know what they are. I don't know why you would do them in a game. Maybe in a very isolated instance, it will work well. I think I need more coffee. That's the problem with doing these videos first thing in the morning. But what I work on very specifically are game-specific type of movements. I work a lot on receive, turn, move, receive, turn, pass. Because when I've got a player out on the field, I know a lot of times when you look at these training sessions, it's a lot of ticky-tack, where they're going bam, 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 bam. Well, that works at a pro level. You see these teams and they look really impressive, but they're also in the Premier League when they're doing these things. So they're ticky-tacking their way up the field. But, at the youth level, that doesn't work. These kids, they don't have the skill level, so what they have to do is play a different style of game. They have to play youth soccer, not pro soccer, in little bodies, because it'll never work. So we work on a lot of game-specific type of functions, movements, receiving, turning, how to receive, open hip, those sorts of things. How to quickly get the ball, and even which feet to use. It's amazing to me how many kids will receive with the wrong foot and then come through with the wrong foot. If you want to go this way, well, open hip, receive this way, and then come through with your back foot and pull the ball with you as your hips are turning, and you've got that nice quick movement. You don't have to move quickly, but the ball moves quickly because you're doing things in the proper order with the proper feet at the proper time. So some of these things, you tend to think, well, okay, what's the difference whether you set up cones outside and do these types of activities outside versus doing them inside? And again, I thought I would be able to replicate some of these things outside that I do inside. And one of the lessons I learned is it doesn't work. I mean, I can't even tell you why it doesn't work. I have my assumptions why. I know part of it is just repetition and controlled environment. But there's also an intensity level. There's just so many different things. It doesn't work, okay? So when you're doing individual skills training, it really is that analogy of thinking about a football team, American style football, where they're passing, punting, kicking, blocking, tackling. They're doing all those things out on the field, and by doing those things, they are definitely going to get stronger. I mean, there's no doubt they are going to build muscle. They're going to get stronger. They're pushing on people. Those are strength type activities. They will get stronger, but they will get stronger much faster by going into the weight room and doing powerlifting, doing weight training, doing speed training. They will become faster and stronger by doing that. It's just a fact. I mean, that's why everyone does it. Well, it's the same thing at Soccer Labs. With Soccer Labs, I can take kids and I can skill them up very quickly. I can't do it out on the field. It doesn't work. So I work on skills at Soccer Labs, and then out on the field, I work on field things I can't do at Soccer Labs. And that makes more sense to me. Do your strength training in one location that's purpose-built for that mission, and then go out on the field and do your passing, punting, blocking, kicking, or in a case of soccer, which we care about, passing, turning, strategy, throw-ins, corner kicks, all those things, and scrimmaging. I mean, I think scrimmaging is a great thing. Now, the other thing I find, and I'm not going to pick on any specific coaches, but what I find is that there's a lack of change of direction in a lot of these drills. Rondos, yeah, okay, they work well for small spaces and speed and, again, more of that ticky-tack. I see the benefit to it, but I think, again, I'm talking 10-year-old kids, okay? So you have to keep that in perspective. We're not talking 14, 16, 18-year-old kids. We're talking 10-year-olds, okay? So with the 10-year-old kids, they really need to have more skill at receive, turn, move, receive, turn, pass. So a lot of these drills that you see these players doing, they're not really geared up for that. What they're doing is pass and pass back. Well, I don't want my kids passing the ball right back. The reason they passed is because they're under pressure for the most part. I mean, if there's a player going up the line, all of a sudden he has defensive pressure, he's going to pass the ball to his midfielder maybe. Well, I don't want that midfielder turning and passing the ball right back to him. Sure, he can do a one-touch pass. He's already facing in that direction. The easiest thing for him to do is get that ball, one touch it right back to the player that just sent it to him. But I don't want that, because now all we've done is taken a pass, made it into a sloppier pass, because one-touch passes are inherently sloppier than a controlled two-touch dribble pass type of pass. It's just statistically going to happen that way. It's just a fact. Now, I don't want them going that way. What I want them to do is take that ball, turn it, and transition it into a different part of the field. If they're on the right side of the field and the ball is there, going down the line, and he passes it into his midfielder, I don't want that midfielder running the ball up the middle. I don't want him running it back up that same right line. What I typically will want him to do is turn and transition that ball to the other side where there's going to be less pressure and more space. Okay? So that's what I want them doing. I want them to get very good at receive the pass, turn the ball, and make a pass to the other side of the field. That's my mission, okay, for these kids. So when we're doing drills, really think about that. Don't think about how can we get the kids to go ticky-tack faster. Think about what's going to happen in a game and the ball movement and the things that have to happen in a game. Kids receive the ball, they have to make that turn and go. Kids receive the ball, they have to transition to the other side. So when you're setting up these drills, don't just have them receiving a pass and kicking it right back in that same direction, which is what you see a lot, especially with shooting. You know, a lot of shooting drills, they'll pass the ball right to them and then they just kick it straight at the goal. But that's typically not what happens in a game. More commonly in a game, the ball is going to come, like on a through pass, it's going to come from the side or from behind them. Okay, fine, that's game realistic. Those are also more difficult. They don't happen as often because it's just harder to make that happen. What happens a lot more is getting the ball passed, touched, turned, dribbled, and then shot. So put that into the drill. You know, make them go laterally across the goal and then turn that ball and shoot it. That's a much more difficult thing for a lot of these kids to do because they don't get their foot turned, they don't get their hips in the right direction, and they try to just hook that ball through. It's a very common thing to do. So I see that out in the field in these drills. They're setting these kids up not to succeed in a game style environment, but to actually fail because they're not giving them a realistic touch on the ball that they're actually going to see in the game. A third thing, at Soccer Labs, we gamify everything. We take 2 kids. If you look at our gear, there's 2 of everything. So we're always taking 2 kids. Yesterday, we actually had 4 because we had 2 teams of 4, and I just set it up that way. But for the most part, we gamify with teams of 2. Sometimes teams of 4, but 4 kids on a team, it starts to get a little slow. But yesterday, I did something where we had them doing separate activities, but in competition, it's kind of hard to explain, but gamify it, okay? Instead of having the kids set up cones and going through and then shooting, or setting up cones and having them passing back and forth, what I'll do, like a typical drill would be pass it, run towards the guy, and then he runs that way, then passes it. And now they're just running everything as straight and linear, very direct, right? And what I do is I flip it around and I say, okay, well, look, I'm not going to expect you to run at the guy you just passed it to and have him run the other way. It's not game realistic. So what I'll do is I'll flip it. I'll say, look, now we're going to take, instead of 2 cones, 1 here and here, we'll take 3 cones and put another one here. So now we got 2. Now when the pass comes in, he has to receive it, turn, come around that cone, and then, dribble pass it. Okay? So now we're incorporating dribbling, passing, turning, and it's much more game realistic. Okay? Now, the third thing I do, again, bouncing back to the combination of gamify it and then track it, is instead of having, like 1 line, obviously that's bad. We want to split them up and have as many kids moving at the same time as possible. We don't want kids standing in a line doing the drills, okay? That's just common sense. I think everyone agrees with that. But if you just have them doing the drill, they'll do it at a lackadaisical pace. Some kids will work a little harder, but for the most part, it's not at the kind of pace you want to see them moving. You want them sprinting. You don't want them jogging with the ball or jogging to the ball, whatever the case might be. You want them sprinting, okay? And what I'll do is I'll gamify it by just setting up a simple relay race. So now we're doing passing, receiving, running, turning, but we're doing it, in this case, it was teams of 3 because that's what we needed for the drill anyhow. So now we're doing teams of 3 and we're running a competition to see who can get it done the quickest. And guess what? The pace increases immediately. The intensity level picks up immediately. So if you gamify it, if you put a competition into it, it doesn't matter whether the kids are shooting the ball into the net, whether they're doing 1v1s, 2v2s, 10v10s, 100v100. It doesn't matter. If you can just take any drill and just say, okay, now we're going to have a competition, okay? They will sprint harder. They'll keep sprinting forever because they want to beat the other guy. It just works, okay? So gamify it and then make it a competition. And the competition doesn't have to be creative. I mean, if you're going to have them do sprints back and forth, well, just make a team of 2, okay? And then one guy sprints, comes back, tags the other guy takes off, sprints, comes back. Now they're basically doing suicides without realizing they're doing suicides. Okay, so it makes for a much more interesting drill for them. It's competitive, and then it puts more intensity into your workout. Okay, I guarantee that will work if you just take anything, and say, now we're gonna have a competition. That's all you gotta say. And then run the exact same drill, but either put a time clock on it if you're running solos. But it usually works best when you make it a head-to-head competition. Just put those competitions into it and you will see greater success. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, when you look at the kids that can dribble with both feet, that can pass with both feet, that can shoot with both feet, it really broadens your capability of what you can do as a game strategy. And again, we're talking 10 years old. We're not talking 14, 18, 20-year-old kids, okay? At 10 years old, you can broaden your game strategy so much when you have kids that can use their left and right foot, okay? The whole game plays in a single direction when you've got a bunch of one-footed players because they just want to stay on that single foot. You can spot it when you do the video analysis. I've done enough video analysis of youth players to spot specific trends, okay? And I'll give you one example of a very simple one. When you've got a fullback, and we're talking 11v11 here, even at high school ages, okay? I don't care what age you pick in this example. Go to college, go to high school. But a lot of these kids that don't know how to use both feet will do the exact same thing. So if you have a fullback driving the ball, let's just say a striker, okay? You've got a striker driving the ball up the line, up the right line. They will take that ball all the way to the baseline every time, and then they'll cross it. If you have a player driving up the left line, they will pull up short at about the 18 every single time and turn the ball into the middle to get the ball on their right foot so they can cross it in or take a shot or just, pass it, whatever. They don't drive to the baseline because they know they'll have to use their left foot when they get to that baseline. So right side all the way to the baseline, left side, they pull up short every single time. So defensively, what do? Well, we say, look, if you're a defender, no, the guy's going to go to the baseline on the right side, and no, on the left side, he's probably going to pull up short. Now, is that a guarantee every time? No, but it's a percentages thing, and the more high percentage things we can do defensively and offensively, the better we're going to be in the end. Obviously, soccer was a game of 1 or 2, right? That's all we score, 1 or 2 or 3. We don't score like basketball. So everything doesn't work every time. Everything doesn't happen every time. But we have to increase the percentages of the things that we're doing so that we have a greater chance of success. That was it for my list for today. I mean, I could go on a few more. I mean, goalkeepers, again, youth goalkeepers. I don't know who's training these kids for the most part. I'm going to pick on a lot of coaches here and probably maybe upset a few, but youth goalkeepers are terrible. They don't know what to do after they get the ball. As a coach, I'll go on one more point. As a coach, you have to stop thinking that a 10-year-old knows how to think strategically and logically in a game, okay? You've got to give them a specific mission to make their life easier. They don't want that pressure of getting the ball and then having to quarterback it and figure out a strategy and what to do with the ball. That's why they punt it, because they don't know what else to do. It's too hard for them. They're 10 years old. Okay? So as a coach, what I'd encourage you to do is give them a specific mission. And I'll give you an example of what I do with my kids. If the ball is shot from the right side, I want them to stop the ball and I want them to automatically go to the left side. I don't want them to think about it. I don't want them to look up the middle or look to the right or look to the left or look where their teammates are. All I want them to do is reverse it. If they get it from the right side, go to the left side. Okay? And then I give them two options. There's your check one. Okay? Your fullback, check one. Is he wide open? Yes or no? If he is, roll it out to him and let him go. And when I say transition, I don't mean I want him to just turn his body. I want him to make steps, sprint out. Okay? I want him to shorten that distance to the sideline because they can't roll it out far enough and fast enough. So I want them to get the ball, turn it, sprint out, and then roll it out to their fullback if they're wide open. If they're not wide open, I don't want him to roll it out. I want him to go to his check two, which is going to be his guy, at that different angle. It's kind of hard for me to show you on video, but I want him to go out to that, basically, like the striker pulling back, or preferably the midfielder right there. Okay? Is he wide open? Yes or no? And when I say wide open, I mean wide open. I don't want a defender in the vicinity. And usually there won't be because they're all pushed over to the opposite side of the field because that's where the ball was. So get the ball, go to the opposite side. Check one is the fullback. Check two is the midfielder. Okay? If neither of those guys are wide open, which they usually will be, then punt it as a last resort. Not because you want to, but because there's nothing left for you. I don't want that ball rolled out and then stolen for an easy score by the other team. Okay? Because that just teaches kids not to play out the back. When kids start getting scored on immediately, the last thing they want to do is continue to play the ball out of the back. Then they're always going to punt. Okay? But if we can show them success by transitioning the ball, getting it into open space, the fullbacks know automatically to spread wide on every shot, get the ball, take it up the line, boom, boom, boom. It works almost every single time to get the ball at least past midfield because that's how long it takes for the other team to recover. So it's a very simple strategy. It encourages the kids to play the ball out of the back without punting the ball, which is a low percentage opportunity, which goes against what I just got done saying, which is we want kids to play high percentage things, okay? So, transition, roll it out, check one, check two, no thinking, no strategizing, no pressure. Make it easy for your goalkeeper to be successful. Make it easy for your team to play the ball out of the back, and they'll do it more often. All right, so that's it for today. I'll stop preaching. It's a little disappointing to have to quit a team, but I don't think I'm actually quitting a team when they haven't actually participated. Okay, I feel like they've quit before we started, therefore I'm not actually quitting. Now, maybe that's a justification, I guess, but I just can't do it. All right, I've got to have players that actually are committed, that want to show up, that want to be good. They don't have to be good. They just have to want to be good. They have to want to be successful in the game, and success is fun. And again, what happened to our good players? Well, they all left, and that's what happens with a bad team. Bad teams don't keep good players. They just don't. So if you want to have good players, if you want to have good teams, you've got to win, you've got to be successful, and you've got to have committed kids. All right, well, anyhow, I said I was done preaching, so I need to be done. So this is Gary with Soccer Lab, Soccer Pro, free coaching software. If you don't have your free account of Soccer Pro yet, you should go out and get one. Video analysis will not only help your kids, it'll help you, and it also has the scheduling system built just for soccer with the itinerary system, which nobody else has. And if you're a travel coach, you know how important it is to coordinate your whole day schedule and how much time it takes. It has a built-in meal planner. Again, you know how much time it takes when you're traveling, going to tournaments, going to showcases. It has the session planner, performance appraisal system. It has everything you need, including the registration, the CRM survey system. Just go get a free copy. Like I said, it's free today, free forever. And It will make your life a lot easier. You'll save time, you'll save money, and you'll still win more games. All right, have a great day, and I will catch you later. Good luck on the pitch, and hopefully you are back to playing full-on soccer and not still affected by this pandemic. All right, bye now.